Thank you for joining us today for another great episode of Clean Money. Today, we are starting our mini series, Tells from the Light Side of Real Estate, where we share some of our more impactful stories of our adventures as impact investors in commercial real estate. So these are stories of impact, lives changed, and stuff that you will pull at your heartstrings unless you're a robot. But please always feel free to reach out, send us messages. And if you have great stories, we would love to hear them. So let us know in the comments and you come join the show and share. In fact, today we have none other than Starr Adams. Welcome to the show, Starr. I know we go way back and so grateful you joined the team, share our vision, and are doing some just amazing things with us. So also got Jesse Sells, my brother, on the show, who runs our operations. And between Jesse and Starr, they're the ones who make all the magic happen, and they get to see all the fun stuff as well. All right, Starr, today brought you on because we were talking yesterday, and you shared an incredible story. And just tell us a little bit about yourself real quick, and then what happened at this apartment complex.
Sure. So, previously I was in property management before I joined Wild Mountain Capital and then switched over to asset management. But I think truly I can never get property management out or away from me. It's always going to be a part of me. And so we have a property in Memphis, and we've had it for a few years now. And every week we meet with our property managers and we talk about the property, just make sure everything's going well. And so I'm going to shout out this property management company, Lico Realty in Memphis, because they're awesome. Look them up if you need them. And, she let me know that there's a resident we have. He's lived there probably 10 years at least, right? Long time. He always pays rent on time. He actually used to maintain the grounds for us when I started with Wild Mountain Capital. But he fell under some poor health. And so he hasn't done that for some time. And, she said, "Hey, Starr, we haven't heard from him. We haven't gotten rent. I'm really worried that he's passed away." And I was like, okay. So typically, right, a management company is going to say, "Hey, we just need to get possession. That's the end goal. Get rid of the things. We just need to release it out." But this individual he has quite a footprint within the community. He's been a great tenant. And so I remember back when I started, they did a story of him, the news did, how he helped several restaurants construction-wise get up and running. So I found that video, and I found the restaurant where they did it. And the owner has known this resident for over 30 years, right? So I said, "Hey, let's reach out to them and see what information we can find." Well, our management didn't just call. They went there, they met with the manager, and they truly tried to find whatever, family, anything, right? Because when you go into his unit, his belongings are immaculate. They look as if they've been a part of the family for a long time. And to just throw that away or dispose it just didn't feel right for any of us. So she did. She got a hold of the daughter, and he unfortunately is in hospice. And she's unable to leave to get his things. So our management company is working with the people within the community that had a relationship with him to secure his belongings and storage, or, whatever they decide to do. But at the end of the day, it just was a great experience knowing that you impacted this family and this specific person, the resident, who's so worried about his belongings and felt really helpless, right? Just that little bit of effort, that extra mile, had a huge impact.
Yeah. So there's a couple things I want to unpack here, right? So we had a resident, everybody loved him, part of the community, right? This guy never has any issues, is a model resident. And then we see him get sicker and sicker and sicker, to the point where, you didn't even mention it, but he became nonverbal, right? He goes to the office, he has to write things down. So we're just watching deterioration, and then he disappears, right? So you automatically think the worst, he passed away. So, but then you have all of his things in there. We try to get a hold of the next closest kin. There's no numbers. There's no one to contact. So what do? Right? As a property manager, because he could be just sick. He could be just in the hospital. Right? As an owner, do you evict this person? Because you kind of have to. You can't remove their things. You can't move on without eviction. So we had this conversation, Starr, and with the local manager there is, do we evict this person and potentially throw all their things on the curb and throw it all away, their whole entire life built up to this point, right? Every little thing they picked up, all the souvenir spoons, whatever else, right? Now you're just going to throw it on the curb, and they could be in the hospital, nonverbal again. They're not picking up the phone. You can't call the hospital, and they're not going to release the information.
Right.
So you literally had to evict this person potentially to remove all their stuff. They could come back and be evicted, be homeless. So I think it's amazing that you were able to find these old, what was it, a newspaper clipping? What was it again?
It was a news story. They actually did a story on him and actually raised some money for him. The news channel, because he was having a hard time back then financially. And so the community had raised some money, but then the news channel also did. And, they did that story and actually gave him the cash at the restaurant. He was just so thankful. So alone, that really set with me, and that memory I held on to, and it just came back to me whenever we were talking about him and the situation.
Yeah. So it's just it's a hard thing. It's a sad thing to think about, that you have to go through this process, that you potentially could be kicking somebody out that in their lowest point, right? But then you did this extra work, right? You're able to find somebody, a restaurant owner that knew him for years and years and years, to find those next of kin. So now kind of help. And it's not, we hope that he can somehow recover and do everything else, but at least now we have closure, and at least now his family has access to his things. They can go get everything and actually kind of bring this chapter to an end in the right way, where we're not we're not worried about throwing somebody out in the street, causing somebody that's sickly to be homeless. We're not, all the family heirlooms, everything he has is gone,
Mm-hmm. And I think it's important to note too, whenever, because this was a new property management that we switched to. And right from the beginning, I could tell that she was very passionate about helping people, not just managing properties, which she was, right? But she was somebody that truly cared. And I think that makes a world of a difference when you have somebody managing your asset.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And you could tell as a tenant in anything, right? You go into a hotel or a store, and the person there actually cares and actually wants to help you out. It makes a huge difference. But now you're looking at people's livelihood, what they're doing. So,
yeah, let's talk about this just for a second. So, let's talk about money. Okay, was he paying money? You find out he's in a hospital, so you just didn't see him around, right? And as a owner, we talked about what's our responsibilities, what are we supposed to do. There's nothing that says we have to go find him, right? We do that because that's who we are, right? We want to be good owners and good landlords, and landlords in general is an easy punching bag, just like the government's an easy punching bag. Say, oh, it's their fault. Landlords are terrible. And we disagree. We see other landlords do wonderful things as well. And we'd love to hear from them on this pod. But, doing this ourselves makes a huge difference. So was he paying rent or not? And then you said that we have to evict. Why is it we have to evict? If you can't get a hold of somebody to get access to their unit, why do you have to evict?
So yes, he was paying rent. I think there were some hard times where he had like payments, but the red flag was that we did not receive payment from him, nor did we receive any communications, right? I tried really hard to get around the whole eviction thing, but in order to legally gain access to that unit, and remove the belongings, you have to file eviction, unfortunately. So that legally, if say we didn't get a hold of him or anybody that was related to him and we had to get rid of those belongings and then they came back and they're like, hey, where's my stuff? We have to follow the law in that way so that we're not held liable.
Wonderful. Thanks for explaining that, just for folks to understand. There's a legal process, and this is what the court requires us to file eviction. We don't necessarily want to file eviction, but that's just how it has to happen. And of course, we did not file eviction in this scenario. So what's next? What's next for this resident?
I think that's what we're working out right now. I think once his belongings are removed, perhaps we just follow the traditional move out process. I'd have to see when his lease actually ends, but there's other ways to end the lease, working through his daughter and management to close this loop.
Awesome. Thank you, Starr, for sharing that story with us. Just a good reminder that, we have humans in our properties, right? They have lives and as we get older, this is just a fact of life. It's how things end up becoming at some point. Not everyone is young, paying $5,000 a month in rent and driving their Bentleys in and out of your apartment complex, which is what everybody wants, right? Just, no hassle tenants that pay, never complain, and do everything. That's just not reality. Reality is you got a whole bunch of humans who live there. And we are too. So as long as we remember that the numbers of the properties are not the heart and soul of the property, the heart and soul of the property are the people who live there. That's literally the hearts and the souls in your property. I know, Jesse, we heard somebody, numbers guy say, hey, that, these numbers, the underwriting, that's the heart and soul of real estate. I'm like, nope. It's never been the heart and soul. It will never be the heart and soul. It's humans. So thank you for joining the pod today. We're going to end there. Thank you for sharing that great story. I'm so proud of Lico, the property managers there, for taking what you asked them to do and going forth and going above and beyond. So if you like this story, tune in more. We're going to have more to come, and we look forward to sharing as many light side of real estate stories as we possibly can. Starr, I know you're going to be a regular on this. You have so many fantastic stories. So subscribe, let us know what you think, and please let us know if you have a story that you would like to share with us. And again, what a great time to be alive, and great stories to come. Thank you, everyone.